Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the Energy Type series on the Designed as You podcast and also the Designed as You YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be exploring the Reflector energy type, which is by far the most rarest and, to be honest, misunderstood energy type. I love connecting with reflectors in my work and in my life because they are such beautifully powerful, insightful old souls. But there's a bit of this narrative of like people not really understanding the reflector energy type. So just like calling them like mystical light beings or like overly sensitive and all of these words that I don't think are that helpful. And it's almost, calling someone a unicorn. Yes, they operate very differently to most of the world, but they're still human having a, yes, spiritual experience, but in a human form, a human body. And how I see reflectors is that they are, as I said, old souls. They've had plenty of lifetime, thousands, if not millions of lifetimes. And they've come here to have a deeply embodied, but also expansive journey. They usually have a very expansive evolutionary process where they are stepping more and more into their power, into their truth, into their wisdom, into their magic, and into their service here. And it's so important for them to just follow the cues where they are of highest contribution, where they are of feeling most themselves, even though that can feel different every day. So let's dive into the mechanics of the chart. If you're a reflector, you have technically no defined energy centers, but you do have combinations of gates, just no channels. That does not mean you're missing out on anything, by the way. Reflectors, as someone as well, I have a very undefined chart. So I am a projector, but I have only two centers defined, which is more rare for a projector type. So I understand being quite undefined in your chart, but I just want to remind you, it doesn't mean you have no energy. It doesn't mean you have no centers. Even just in the sentence of you have an undefined sacral or you have an undefined solar plexus, does not mean you have no solar plexus. Does not mean you have no sacral. It's that it's undefined. And what does that mean? It brings a frequency, a different energy is present there, which means you are fluid, which means you are malleable, which means you are experiencing life. So through your centers, you experience life. And when we experience life, you become more wise. You are the ultimate continual student that is a teacher. So where we have energy moving through our centers, and this is how I teach it in the Human Design Advanced Certification. I teach it with my empowered method because it is so important in which how you receive the information, whether it is benefiting your life or whether it just creates more conditioning. So where you're undefined within your chart, because you're experiencing life through there, you have lots of life experience. You also have a lot to share and to play with and to grow in. Where we are undefined, we magnify the external, we magnify our environment. And you, especially as reflectors, you are in constant data collection. But also, as well, you get to choose how you relate with that data. You get to choose who you get to be in all of this. You have the ultimate decision of what you want your identity to be. It's all your decision. You are the co creator. But it's just important for you to see that you are the co creator and not just at the realms of other people. So within your aura type, you are known to have a sampling aura type. So you are only 1% of the population. To be honest, I actually think less. I think it's less than 1% of the population, but Ra couldn't be too specific of 0.000, we say we round up to 1% of the population. And your relationship and what you're here to give is your mirroring, your revealing, your wisdom, your reflection, as the name suggests. So because all your centers are open, and as I said, you still have definition, you still have gates, and every gate brings an energy. Every gate brings a gift. Every gate also has a higher and lower expression in which brings traits. So you might have the gate of leadership. You might have the gate of storyteller. You might have the gate of nurturing and caring. You might have the gate of continuous improvement. You might have the gate of depth. You might have the gate of listening. It's all a possibility. So what we see most with a reflector is that they are incredible observers and they are able to reflect back what the world needs. We really need our reflectors in leadership roles, or we really need reflectors to be the ones that we can look at the health of our community, the health of the world, the health of the collective. And reflectors are enlivened and energized when they're in the right places, in the right spaces, in the right environments for them. That's going to be very unique, and it's going to be what feels best in your vessel. It really is quite hard for a reflector to let alone thrive, but even to survive in environments that are not for them, that drain and that almost leave them in their not self, where they feel in apathy, where they feel disappointed constantly, where they feel sad. And so, we are always our creator in our life, and we obviously can find our peace in any form of chaos, and we come from an internal resource. At the same time, you want to put yourself in environments that you feel seen and you feel held and you feel supported, whether that be online. If you don't have anything in your hometown, go online spaces, go into communities where you feel enriched. Look to your profile as well. I have a whole series on profile that can help you to if you're a one lines, go and study somewhere and learn four line, go and connect with your tribe or create your tribe, all the different profiles. So definitely jump in and have a look at that. So as I said, you are sampling the energy around you. So the saying of you are the product of who you surround yourself with is really an important reflection for reflectors, because you really take in the energy of others and amplify it within your own body. And you're sampling all that is around you. You are sampling all the environment, the energy beyond the words, the feelings. You are the most ultimate empath and sponge. And so this is why you have such great potential to carry wisdom amongst all of the other energy types. But what is also important is that your aura is also resistant. And it's important for you to resist what you don't want to hold on. Yes, you can sample, but you don't have to carry other energies. You don't have to carry and solve other people's stuff. You don't have to be a dumping ground for people. And you get to set the boundary with that. And it's always just an internal boundary of what you're willing to receive, and really just the awareness of this is theirs, it's not mine. So your purpose is to help us see what is needed in this world to create change, but also just create a beautiful life for yourself. You get to reflect the state of society and the health of your community, but you get to choose what community you're in. You get to choose which places you are in. And if you don't feel like you have a choice, this is where we start to create action, or we start to create the frequency where we start to move into that direction. We start to show our body it is safe to either move or create new community or be seen. Because in order to deeply connect and relate, we do need to open ourselves to be vulnerable. So you are extremely empathetic. You're deeply absorbing of all the energies of others, including emotions, fears, anxiety, stress, low self-worth, but also the positive aspects of love and joy and happiness and intrigue and curiosity. So again, you filter and choose your surroundings wisely. Choose which media you're absorbing, because you're very sensitive to that. So you're also very intuitive. Like, what social events are you going to? What people are you surrounding yourself? What social media are you digesting? All of it is so important, because again, you amplify it in your body. Where we're undefined in our body, we amplify the energy. So if you're watching horror, or if you're watching true crime, you're going to be processing that all in your sleep, or processing that all in your day. So you are always in power, reflector. You get to decide what you expose yourself to. And also you get to always come back to your energy, having energy releasing practices, being, if you can, getting into the ocean or having a shower. Water is super cleansing. Putting your feet in an Epsom salt bath at the end of the day is really beautiful. Like a lot of, oil massage, abhyanga, grounding foods, not so much the raw foods. So it's all about grounding, all about coming back to your body, because sometimes it can feel like you're in a distorted state, or you're or not in a body, basically. So this is why you can feel very different. This is why you can feel very overwhelmed in our current world, because our current world is urgent and busy and overstimulating. So you get to be your own advocate, and you get to slow down and create time in nature is also really important. Meditation, breath, All of this is to ground yourself. So, reflectors, you have an ability to sense and feel the physical, the psychic, and the emotional health. And you're here to evaluate what is functioning well and what is not. As as this world gets more and more bigger, and as people are hopefully waking more and more up, when the reflectors are present and ready to objectively share and reflect their observations, this is where we transform. So this is where we want the reflectors to become in the center. Like, and a lot of reflectors feel very ignored and feel very pushed to the side and feel very like exhausted as well. This world is exhausting for a reflector, but we need the reflectors to feel more visible. So this is why it's so important to give to yourself so that then you can overflow to others. And so you have this way of detecting anomalies. You're here to detect unusual occurrences and you're able to sense the energy of a room. So you are really like you are an ultimate shapeshifter as well. You can fit in lots of different places. You have lots of different identities, lots of different roles here. So you get to choose what your current identity gets to be. You get to choose what version of you gets more of your life force or gets more attention and embodiment for the reality that you wish to create. We talk about collapsing timelines, but it's not about this, woo-woo concept. This is just becoming the person who you want to be, but it is also going to naturally align with what you desire, what you're calling in. So you are the ultimate chameleon. And it's important for you to resist the urge to limit yourselves with specific labels and definitions. Like it's impossible to write a bio for a reflector, like a 10-word bio. It's impossible to use the English language to give a specific label or definition of what you do in the world. Your magic lies in your openness and your fluidity. You are shifting every day. You are so different to who you were 2 years ago, let alone 2 months ago. So you're not meant to be just one thing. So release the pressure to feel like you have to mold or know or identify or label yourself. Words cannot describe you. So you get to just explore what lights you up and excites you. And because this is will reflect back the energies that's meant for you. It's not random where you feel most at home, where you feel most seen, and where you feel your best, because those are the exact environments you're meant to be in. That's the thing that you're meant to be doing. So, reflectors, you do feel sensitive. You are very empathetic. You are a big feeler. So give love to yourself. Some days are going to be really slow. Some days you're going to have more energy. And the only thing that trips us up about that is if we judge it and think that it should be any different. So embrace your chameleon like inconsistent nature. Like you're not the same every day, and that's your power. Some days you will move mountains, and other days you may not feel like moving at all. So you are this mutable, ever changing, always present, ever evolving, interests always evolving, human having a incredible spiritual experience. You are really a strong spiritual being. You have so much light as a reflector and so much wisdom to share. So I want to underline again how important it is to choose environments and people that feel good to you. You need to be in the right place with the right community. Because when you are in an alignment or when you are in an environment that aligns with you, then you're fulfilling your purpose. It's that crucial. It's that crucial to let go of toxic and unhealthy attachments, especially for your own well-being, as they are going to really affect you as a reflector. And, a lot of reflectors can find themselves maybe in codependent dynamics or feeling like they have to save people or feeling like they have to be someone's wingman or just always feeling like they have to stay where they are because sometimes you can feel a bit indecisive and unsure of yourself. Move towards the right places and environments, even if it means online, because this attracts your right opportunities. This is where you feel good and true to yourself. So when something doesn't feel right, it's just a sign to remove it from your life or change your dynamic with it. Maybe if you're people pleasing, maybe if you're trying to save them, maybe if you're dimming yourself, it's just asking you to bring a different energy, bring your true self energy to this dynamic or this place. So the universe is always guiding you towards alignment of your dream existence, of who you're meant to be, of your heaven of earth. So you thrive in healthy community. But also you need your alone time. That's just as equally important. You need rest. You need to be in your own energy. Some nights sleeping alone, even if you're in partnership, is really helpful, just so you can sleep in your own energy. And, you have to allow yourself to shift and change if evolution calls for it. If something no longer feels relevant to you in your expansion, your evolution, or if something no longer feels good, we got to let ourselves and follow where you are most called, where you will be of highest contribution then, and what feels most relevant to you in your expansion, because that's the whole point here, is to evolve in some way. So when you allow your intuition to guide you where to go, and it's going to be what feels most nourishing, this is where synchronicities and opportunities, they come and they land. So every day is different for you as a reflector. So the question to ask yourself the most is, who am I today? Who am I today? Because it's not about who am I in the grand scheme of things for the rest of my life. No, who am I today? And a lot of the times a reflector just wants to be, seen and honored. And a lot of the times, as I said, reflectors have done a lot of lifetimes. So you can feel a little bit disappointed with life or a little bit apathetic with life if you're not in the right places or environments, or you're hiding parts of yourself, or you're living by the limited mind rather than the expansive, infinite possibility that is here. So sometimes you can feel included and sometimes you can feel really invisible. But if you live as yourself, if you live your true, carefree, joy filled, nature designed life, you will be in wonder in every moment. So reflectors can become a bit apathetic and a bit Groundhog Day when they're not listening to themselves. But the real magic of the reflector is expressed best in the newness, in the freshness, in the surprise that you get to feel almost every single day, if not every day. And the sense that there's always something more, always something else. So let that be an option. Or in the everyday, create newness. Watch where you just get stuck in monotony or stuck in routine or stuck in obligation or stuck of this is what I've always done, so this is what I always have to do. Because unfortunately, most reflectors live a homogenized life, trying to be something they're not, trying to keep up, trying to do what they have to do in order to what they think to love and belong. But they've never understood or encouraged to embrace their difference. Too often they find themselves in a world unreceptive, cold, and disappointing. And, they give in to expectations just to survive. When, a reflector, you're here to have a joy filled life. You've done many a lifetimes. So when you begin to appreciate your uniqueness, appreciate your ever changing, ever expansive, very intuitive journey here and identity here, as I said, you're always unfolding, but you're also very adaptable and mutable based on your environment. When you appreciate your uniqueness, the alienness, the light beingness, then you can be like in full freedom. You can practice detachment of how things should be, or even that what other people think of you matters. Like what other people think of you is none of your business. If they don't like you, it's because they don't like themselves, because you're a mirror to them. So if they're triggered by you, it's because there's something within them that they need to look at. So you're never lost. You're never confused. You're just in your unfolding. And see that you're meant to be at the center. You're not meant to be invisible. You're not meant to be thrown to the erase side. We need you to be able to tell us what you see. The reflector strategy is wait for the lunar cycle. Now, the reflectors are ruled by the moon, whose orbit around the Earth takes about 28 days. So during this time, the moon moves through different gates, depending on the lunar cycle. And so what this just really means for you as a reflector is that give yourself time to make decisions. Every day brings a different perspective for the human design reflector. When faced with significant decisions, it's best to wait around 3 to 4 weeks, not because you're waiting or not because you're powerless, just because you're starting to see what is sticking around, what is the most embodied next step, what feels most true for me. Because if you make too quick, spontaneous decisions, you might have been affected by your environment. Maybe someone has just told you about their incredible yoga teacher training they did in Sri Lanka, and they're all excited about it. And then that day you think, oh, I'm really excited about that. I want to do a yoga teacher training in Sri Lanka. And so then you go book it. And 2 days later, you realize, actually, I don't want to be a yoga teacher. I don't even really like yoga. I actually really want to learn more about interpretive dance. But you booked it because you were riding off the excitement of someone else. Or maybe you're around a lot of pessimism. So then you don't make any decisions at all. So we just want to allow a full lunar cycle just to see and experience the fluctuations and the shifting tides of your emotions, because sometimes it takes some time to understand of what's mine and what's others. What's my desire and what's others' desire? Is this an authentic desire? Is this authentically for me? And this just helps you over about a month to sample different energies to determine what are the decisions and choices that endure over time. And if you find yourself like something keeps coming up, if you find yourself contemplating something continually after a month, this means it's an alignment for you and this is mean your true path. We're not going to be able to map it out. We don't know where it's taking us. We can't see into the future for good reason. We're not meant to. And that takes the fun out of it, but also that would be way too overwhelming for the brain. And we also wouldn't have an evolutionary journey then. So, it's not about never making decisions. A lot of reflectors can be afraid to make decisions or sit on the fence all the time. No, move towards what gives you a method of growth where you feel excited about who you get to be in that. It's a lot around identity. Who could I be if I did that yoga teacher training in Sri Lanka? If that keeps sticking around, go for it. But by taking time with your decisions, you actually end up achieving faster results. It minimizes the time that would happen if you went on detours, if you just made decisions and then you had to divert and then, sinking cost fallacy of, oh, I got to continue investing in this thing that I said myself that I would do. No, when you take your time and go by your own pace, this world is very quick and busy, but you get to go on your own pace. You get to be your own advocate with that. So when you are clear and you are coming from a more grounded place, you're going to achieve faster results because you're putting your energy in the right things rather than being distracted or distorted. Your life force is going where it's meant to go. So have community that can also support you and trust the process, release control. Go wherever you're feeling called. There's always something on the other end of that. We're not going to know. The five senses can't see it before it comes into fruition. And the logical mind can't prove it either. There needs to be a co-creation with the universe and knowing that is infinitely possible. Don't just look at through life through a straw. That's what our brain does. That's what the limited mind does. It looks through life through a straw and just tunnel vision. And often it can just be stories and expectations or conditioned views of others, and it's not actually yours. Always ask yourself, is this my fear? Is this my intuition? Is this my path? Is this my authentic desire? We always got to come back. And sometimes that can feel different every day, reflector, because you are ever evolving, ever changing and a limitless being. But yeah, which are the ones that stick around? So because you operate differently from 99% of the world, you can often feel quite different. It can often feel very overwhelming to live in our world. And it can also feel like don't know what's yours and what's other people. So please take the time to what's known as empty out all of the energies and all of the beliefs that you may be picking up and take full radical responsibility of how you get to feel. You are the ultimate choice. You are the ultimate creator of who you invest your energy in, what you invest your energy in, and where you want your life force to grow. So your not self theme as a reflector is disappointment. And I alluded to this earlier. It's a feeling that you might probably be sadly familiar with. Disappointment manifests as a lack of inspiration, of surprise in your life, which is so essential for your well-being. Reflectors are here to see the beauty, the awe, the possibility. They're here to create heaven on earth, as I said. And so you're here to live with constant synchronicity and all the beauty that life has to offer. But when you're stuck in your conditioning, and conditioning is just the conditioned beliefs of what you think you should do, or always self-sacrificing yourself, or always putting yourself last, or always trying to fade away, always trying to disappear, always feeling ignored. This is where you can start to get a bit apathetic with life. You can almost be disappointed with the human race, and you can be a little bit disappointed in, is this it? Every day is kind of the same, bit Groundhog Day. Remember, you have the choice to bring new energy into your life. You have the choice to create new experiences, to make different decisions, bring in new energy. So when we start to feel disappointment and, that feeling of, is this it? And you feel like spontaneous, serendipitous moments are scarce, making you feel a little bit jaded and disillusioned by your environment, mix it up, mix it up. And also, as well, notice what is the things that are draining you. Is it specific dynamics or the way you're showing up with the dynamics? We don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but is it the way that you're relating to others or to that environment or to that work? You're trying to always prove yourself. So when you realize that you are one with the divine, you are an open being, and like we are surrounded by nature and divine possibility, and you are a sponge of that. You get to choose what you are a sponge for. Go out in nature and you are going to be a sponge for creative intelligence. Go out and connect with really inspiring people, and you're going to be a sponge for inspiration. Go out and be in places of knowledge and wisdom and sacred places. You're going to be a sponge for that sacred energy. Life is always waiting for you to come co-create with it. So don't shy away because you don't see the return on investment instantly or because you feel too sensitive. Your sensitivity is your superpower. You get to choose what you absorb through that sensitivity. And please know that you are a chooser. You are never stuck. You are never stuck. Even if your mind can convince you of that, it means that you have just outgrown where you are and you're being invited for a higher expansion. That story of being stuck, that becomes a cage rather than the reality of it. You're always being invited to expand. And it's not about getting unstuck. It's just releasing the story of getting stuck and letting your life force lead you one intuitive step and one intuitive moment at a time. Let life guide you each step. And all you need to do is say yes. So your signature theme, your true self theme is surprise, which is that embodied sense of fulfillment in discovering the unique and beautiful aspects of the world around you. It's the sense of surprise that carries the brightness and joy. So you thrive in moments where, yeah, you're sampling things and you're almost surprised by, wow, the beauty of this or the kindness of people or the wisdom you're learning. Or, it's almost, oh, wow, like I forgot that this existed. And so it's really about having a delightful experience. And this happens when you're in the right environments, when you're doing what you're here to do, when you're feeling nourished and restored, and when you're present. Like in order to be surprised by life, you have to be present, but you also have to be creating newness. You also have to be moving and taking inspired action. You also need to be getting out of autopilot or limited views or behaviors or limited stories or illusions about somehow you're inadequate or somehow too sensitive. That is all illusions. That is not your truth. You are here to discover and experiment and enjoy. And this is going to reveal in those moments when you do that, that it'll be less sameness and more difference. It's almost like a childlike joy when you're viewing the world through a fresh eyes, despite holding and possessing a lot of wisdom as your incredible old soul. So, as a little reminder to wrap up this segment, this video, this podcast episode of the Reflector energy type, just remember that you have the ultimate choice. You get to detach when things feel overwhelming, you get to come home to yourself. There is no need to force situations that are wrong for you or that are not serving you. You get to step up and go. And whether that means you go and spritz your face or just get some space or go have a shower or go for a walk, go meditate, go into the ocean, whatever, like cleanse your body. That is so important for you. But yeah, you never have to force yourself to stay in a place that just feels not good for you, not right for you. As well, remember you are a lunar being, go at your own pace. Life will always be quick. Life will always, can be chaotic, but you get to find your peace in the chaos. And remember, a slower decision often leads to a faster path. And you have the ultimate freedom to be whoever you desire. So pick, what identity do I get to step into? For example, if you want to be in this line of work, okay, I want to be in the identity of teacher or embodied leader or healer. Okay, how do I operate in the world? How would I show up? What decisions would I make? Become her or become him, become them, become the person who aligns with the reality you wish. If you want to feel carefree and inspired, okay, well, maybe you would book that trip that you've been putting off for so long. So let this be the sign to do the thing that you've been putting off, but you really want to do. So remember the relationships and the people you surround yourself with, they shape your reality. So choose wisely. Choose wisely. And choose lovingly. Everyone's going to be a teacher. So if you have teachers in your life where, someone maybe has more of a angry temperament, this is a teacher of patience, a teacher of kindness in that moment. So focus on your desires though. Sometimes the reflector is just like constantly assimilating and trying to please other people and putting themselves last and, trying to make sure that people love them. No, have your own love for self. Incorporate self soothing and nervous system practices to help regulate and support you. Protect your energy. This is your life to create as well. It's not just about everyone and everything else. So, as well, speaking of, sharing your insights and let us know where we can improve, with the people that are ready to hear it. It's not about forcing it down where people aren't ready because that's just a waste of your energy, but it's that people want to know what you think. People want to know your perspective and connect with your intuition and treasure your uniqueness. You are in a constant state of evolution and you are such an important part of our society. But give to yourself in all the ways that you give to others. I hope you enjoyed this one, Reflector. As I said, you are such a powerful, beautiful, important energy in this current world. And we need you. We need embodied reflectors to lead us forward and to guide us forward and to share what they see and to look after themselves. As I said, life is not slowing down. It's only getting faster. So you being your own advocate and going at your own pace and you being embodied and present in that will always be better than quantity, quantity, quantity. We want your quality. We want your insight. So if you want to explore more and dive in deeper, definitely check out our advanced human design certification. You can join now and take it all at your own pace. Once you're in there, it's lifetime access. So you can enjoy and receive all of the advanced teachings in there. We start right from the beginner all the way through. And it's a beautiful community. So if you're craving community and you're craving support and mentorship and just a space where you can be fully accepted as you are, this is definitely it. So I will put the link below and would love to have you if you feel called. Okay, my loves, thank you so much for listening. If you have any other friends or family who you want to explore their human design, check out our other energy type videos in this energy type series. And you can also check out the profile series, which is really fun to understand people's personalities. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.